the original amount, and then we didn't pay it back in December. Kind of went up quite a bit, man, right up to 22.
Okay, good.
So 2 months later, it went from that to that.
Well, but this was,
This is how much if we would have.
here's the
can't
original
think of
date,
any
we
to
got
add.
in November of 21.
Right, that was the original stuff.
Right.
This right here received in November 21.
2 in a row.
That we received this COVID funding
They've got
for
it
healthcare providers. But since our reportings were not accurate, because the information that was reported by the ambulance service and what was by the city didn't match, and so they wanted some additional information on these dates. Some of those emails from Faye that had that in there, but I'm not sure what happened there. It looked like they sent something. Oh, I thought that was early on in 21 or something, that Faye asked for some information. They sent it, but whatever, the accounting didn't work out. But the key thing is that this was due just a couple months ago. And from there to there.
All right, can I have your attention? I'll call to order this meeting of the Sturgis City Council, March 3rd, 2025 at 6:30. The first order is to recite the pledge. Please stand and recite the pledge with me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We've got Brian Ross tonight.
And again, for those of you folks that don't know, that this, Ryan, is a group of pastors that meet on Wednesday to pray for the city. And so we approach them often with special things, and we're glad that they've taken the responsibility of being here. Brian, thank you.
Okay, let's pray. Father, I thank you for that we can meet together tonight. And Lord, I'm not sure what the weather's going to do, but I thank you that you're in charge of the weather. Father, I thank you that you've placed these council members in their leadership spots, because that's what your word says. We do the voting, but ultimately you're the one that makes that decision. And so, Lord, I just thank you that these folks are willing to serve. And Lord, they're also in places of leadership, but they're also serving. And so, Father, please help them to make good decisions related to our community that will be decisions that are pleasing to you and that will further the benefit for all people, Lord. We thank you for these things in Jesus' name. Amen.
Thank you, Brian.
All right, item 3 is approval of the agenda. Is anyone willing to make a motion to approve the agenda?
I'll motion to approve the agenda.
Second.
We got a first by Alex, second by Nick to approve the agenda as is. All those in favor indicate by stating yes.
Yes.
Those opposed, no. All right. Item 4 on the agenda is announcements and praise. Councilor Thompson, are you willing to read those tonight?
I would love to do that. We'd like to welcome Miss Ivy Marie Usera, born Sunday morning at 12:30 in the morning or so, about 6 pounds 6 ounces and 18 inches, and smiles, and her family is welcome, including our council member right here. So thank you, congratulations.
Thank you.
Alex and Lauren, and pretty happy to have them. We had lunch last week, and he said, if I can't make it in time for lunch, it'll be because my baby came first. Just a couple of announcements. Besides that, there is a candidate forum, and Mark, you said that's coming up on the 11th. Is that correct?
Yeah, next Tuesday evening, 6 o'clock,
Okay.
at the community center.
Oh, okay.
Or
so
no, Erskine, I'm sorry.
I think it's at the
It-
same,
it-
yes.
Yes, it was changed
Just
to
up the
Erskine.
street. And so those of you that are looking for information on candidates, that's very important. It's the 11th, on Tuesday. I assume it's at 6 o'clock. 6. And that's up at the Erskine building, just up the street a bit. Congratulations to the Sturgis Scooper wrestlers. They won the state championship, second in a row. Let's see, Tyler Baldwin and Kelson Dirk were state champions, so congratulations. And the girls finished 12th in the state. As long as we're talking sports, I'll put in a plug for rodeo. The PRCA team roping healing leader is from Sturgis, South Dakota, Levi Lord. So I'm always proud of that, and Sturgis should be as well. We've had a good group of cowboys involved. Some upcoming events for you. There's one-act plays. According to the Sturgis Area Arts Council, one-act plays March 28th. And the Easter Cantata, April 13th and 15th. That's at 7 o'clock in the evening at Grace Lutheran Church. And in June, the Sturgis Area Arts Council will have My Fair Lady for their summer musical. And a reminder, bureaucratic time starts on Sunday. Early Sunday morning, 2 o'clock. I have some steer wrestler friends that would get up at 2 o'clock to change their clocks. They just believed that was the time they were supposed to do it. Mr. Mayor?
All right, thank you, Jim. Is there any additional announcements or praise?
I would like to thank the Chamber of Commerce, Republican Women, Hotel Sturdy. Who else was involved with the Cracker Barrel? Coffee was donated, I believe, by somebody, but they did a nice job with Cracker Barrel Saturday. Very informative. Felt the crowd was a little light, but it's always interesting.
Anything else from council? How about from members of the public? All right, continuing on. Non-agenda matters that may come before council. Is there anyone that wishes to address the city council on a non-agenda item? Please approach the dais. How about members of the council? You have any non-agenda items? All right. Item 6, department updates. Looks like Aaron, you're the guy today.
Well, thank you, Mayor, Council. I got a few things to talk about, and then I'm going to turn it over to Deb Holland, who's going to give a report on our new SIP that's been coming out for the last couple months. But before I get into notes, I just want to recognize, you've probably seen the notice on Facebook that Joyce Ehlers is going to be retiring from the city. Joyce has 33 years to the service to the community. She started off at the community center, worked at the water department, on the street down over here by the bank for a lot of years, moved into the finance department for a long time, worked administration, and then for the last year or so, she's been working down at Public Works with Rick Bush and his team. I've personally got to know Joyce outside of council and the city. She and I have been on a couple of committees together. We were both involved in that military memorial down in City Park, I don't know, probably 15, 16, 17 years ago. Working with that one with the Forest Committee, and then she and I were on the same committee here just a couple years ago when we put the Gold Star Family Monument in. So I've always had a great relationship with Joyce. She cares deeply about our community, really cares about veterans. She's always been involved in our military appreciation and helping get those lined up and identify people and make sure that we're recognizing people for military appreciation. So it's a big loss for the city of Sturgis, but she's at the point of her career. She has grandchildren, and she's looking forward to the next chapter of her life. And we wish her well. We're going to have a celebration of her employment and being a great teammate here. I think is it next week, Deb, on the 13th of March, 2 to 4 at Public Works. Okay. So thanks, Joyce, for 33 years service to the people of Sturgis. Last week we had our Cassell training. They had 3 individuals from Provo, Utah that came out Tuesday through Thursday. In the mornings we conducted training primarily with department heads and other folks that worked with those different programs, got exposed not only to the stuff that we use quite a bit, but some of the stuff we haven't used or some things that we may use in the future. And in the afternoon, they worked with Ann and her team and kind of did some one-on-one training. And part of that training was getting after some of using our our backlog from 2024 to reinforce the training. So that went really well. I kind of consider them teammates too. They were really responsive to us, not just during the 3 days that we're here, but every time that Ann and her team have challenges or a problem or a question, or even just make an adjustment to the software. They've always been very responsive on helping out the city of Sturgis. One of the things I took away from it, we had a CPA firm that helped us out with some of that stuff. In the future, we could probably use Cassell. I mean, they know our system, they know municipality finances, and again, they were helping us out in terms of working those processes. So in the future, if we want to do some audit preps and things like that, they're a great resource that we could use. We also, last week, completed the phone interviews with Condrey and Associates for the wage study. And we'll be providing some information on some comparison cities here tomorrow. And then they'll start going and doing their work in terms of providing us here in May, towards the end of May, that study. So that's been a lot of work by the staff over the last, about 6 weeks or so, getting their questionnaires put together, determining the timelines when that was going to work, and then being available by the phone, with Condrey. So most of them were probably around the 20-minute mark. Maybe some of the supervisors were a little bit longer, but again, that part is complete, and so waiting for the next step for them to provide some information to you as we kind of go down this journey. As completing the Condrey, now we're kind of turning our focus towards American Legal. We have the recodification contract agreement with them to be able to provide all our ordinances and to help that get updated, having them go through those and kind of look at, just get them basically updated and get them formatted where we get access to them. So there'll be a lot of work from us to include the council on the ordinances that we want to update, like Title VII, and there's a few other ones that have, still have some old terminology in it that we need to update. So we'll be working on that over the next couple months. Another thing that we set up, this is something I was talking with the mayor here when I first came on as a city administrator. Our benefits package for the employees is relatively expensive. You would be surprised how much they pay per pay period. I was, because I'm retired military and I don't pay that much. And when I looked at what the amount is, it's quite a bit. And there are a lot of other communities that have a lot of different programs. And over the last couple of years, we've always considered evaluating different benefits that might be of better value to the city of Sturgis. And this was Kevin's idea, is that we'd get a committee of our employees across the spectrum of the city to sit down and review these different plans and to make a recommendation back to you on maybe what would be a better plan that would fit in terms of value to the employees of Sturgis. So we'll be kicking that committee off here this week, and over the couple months starting evaluating those different plans that are out there, and hopefully we could find something that that provides great health care to that individual and their families, but also at a maybe better value. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Deb, and Deb's going to give you a little presentation on SIP, what that looks like, and some of the good news in terms of how much it saved us from what we used to do in the past. Deb?
Okay. So you might all, oh yeah, that'd be good. I always yell at others to speak in. There we go. So the SIP, or the Sturgis Information Publication, has been going for a while. And when I got here in 2022, it was in this format. It's like an 11 by 17 that's printed on 4 pages. And so because of the budget constraints, the mayor proposed the discontinuation of the SIP, and it was brought forward at a council meeting in November. But during that meeting, citizens expressed their objections, emphasizing the need for greater transparency within the city's operations rather than less. So I was tasked by the mayor to come up with a more cost-effective manner in which to provide the newsletter to all residents. Last year, we paid about $2,500 a month for printing and mailing of the newsletter. And we knew a large portion of the newsletter cost was delivery, the postage, to every registered utility user. If you had a water bill, you got the SIP. So kudos to Jim Thompson, who suggested a service provided by the post office called Every Door Direct Mail Delivery, which is less expensive than the 31 cents per newsletter postage that we had been paying. And it's actually 22 cents. So the December SIP, the one that I just showed you, was done by Print Market in Rapid City. And the cost for that SIP, the printing, they had to do the tabbing. You know, they had to put a little tab on it because they folded it this way and then they folded it in half again. So the cost of that was $2,518.54 for the month of December. And then in January, we were looking to go with something that was less expensive and to use this new Every Door Direct Mail. And Rick in the Public Works Department really needed to get a message out pretty quickly. So on the fly, we did a front and a back. If you guys received that, it was a very heavy stock. And we did that because there was a weight limitation on what you had to provide to the post office for the Every Door delivery. And so here's the bills from Rushmore office and then the mailing. So that one, we reduced it by about $500 and it got it down to $2,004.05. So all this time, Kevin really wanted a newspaper. And so, you know, I had a little experience in that. And so, so February and March, we went to this one. So we have it's actually a 4-page tab newspaper. And I worried that it would be heavy enough. It has to be 0.25 ounces. And so this was 0.30. Whew. And we didn't have to tab it. So I was pretty happy that we were able to do that. And on the first edition, people were probably happy because I had a really big font. And, you know, the sentences were kind of, is called the kerning, were kind of wide. And I thought, well, I'm not getting very much news in that. So this time in March, I learned the program and tightened up the kerning on that. But look at this, from Seton Publishing, 3,600 copies of that were $184 as compared to almost 1,300 on this one. And then the mailing, Every Door Direct, I go to 5 sections or routes within the city of Sturgis, and it cost us $765.78. And so our savings per month is $1,568.46.
Is that just a round number? Is that just a round number, Deb?
No, no. I shouldn't say about. It is. So the cost for February, March was $949.78 instead of the $2,500 that you saw at the beginning. Yeah, I couldn't believe it either. And so the savings to the city is $1,568.46
Per month.
per month.
Deb, wasn't it, it was $3,500 when we first started this process, though, wasn't it? Isn't
No,
that-
that was the December bill from Print Market was $2,500.
But
yeah.
the prior to, when you first started this presentation, you said it used to be $3,500 a month at its peak. That's what we were, if you'll go back to that
No,
first-
here's the bill from Print Market. It was $2,518.74.
But if, okay.
Okay.
You showed us, when you were showing the verbiage there ahead of this one.
I
thought
said $2,500 a month.
So Deb,
2,000.
for the last
Oh,
couple of
it was-
years
that
then?
was the
Has it been
average.
averaging $2,500 a month or?
Yes, that,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, thank you, that's right.
Yeah, and just so the council knows, the line item for that budget for 2025 is 25,000.
You're already saving $19,000 a year by switching to this.
And we cut that budget from the 2024 allocation. I don't recall exactly what that was, but
Yeah, I think you're right. It was closer to 36.
yeah,
Yeah, so,
It's awesome.
excellent. Well,
Thank you, Deb, for the work on that, appreciate it.
Thank you.
that's substantial savings.
and I'd kind of like to know if there's anyone in the audience, how do you like the format? And are you getting it at your house or no?
Yeah, it's good.
What if you don't get delivery at your house? What if you have a post office box?
Kevin and I talked about that today. That's another 400 people we could add to the list and have it go to every post office box, and that would be another $100 in postal costs, and then just a little bit of bump in what it would cost for the printing. So if that's something the council thinks we should do, I mean, we're still saving money and we can still get it to more people. And Brandon, you're getting it too when we send the whole bunch to the high rise? Yes, ma'am. Okay. And Tony took some out up to Heritage Acres, so,
Good.
okay,
Well, let's send those to the post office boxes as well, for sure.
okay,
I agree.
will do.
And again, Deb, thank you very much.
You bet.
Is that it, Aaron?
That's it, unless you, any pending questions?
Good, thank you. All right, item 7, we've got one payroll change, liquor store sales clerk, full-time. The main items, though, 7.2 is appointment of members to our standing committees. Council will reorganize in May after our next election. And so we want to backfill a few council slots, or committee slots, now that we have Councilor Chapman and Councilor Usera on the team. And when we did some adjustments back in December, it was basically to try and get some butts in the seats, if you will. We ended up with a few people that were on multiple council committees. And so what I'm interested in is talking briefly, hopefully we can decide this quickly, on how we staff our Infrastructure Advisory Committee and our Rally and Events Committee. I'll back up. Legal and Finance is spelled out by ordinance, made up of the council president, the vice president, the mayor, and one counselor at large, which is Jim Thompson. As it is now, our Infrastructure Advisory Committee is Tony Dargitz, Jesse Blakeman, Jim Thompson. Rally and Events, Tony Dargitz, Jesse Blakeman, and Jim Thompson. So those are mirrors, and that had to do more with availability. I'll point out that, we still were a body of 7. So that means by open meeting laws, we can only have a total of 3 counselors talking about city business at any one time without violating open meeting laws. So what I'm hoping to do is entertain one of the 3 members of each of those 2 to make room for our other teammates.
Mr. Mayor, I'd already spoken with you, and I'm willing to give up the place on the Rally Committee.
I would, for me, infrastructure fits my experience more than
Background.
than the rally and events, so I would give up, my rally.
I agree, Jesse, with your experience fitting well into our infrastructure. Jim, would you be willing to give up infrastructure and stay on Raleigh?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Mark?
I'd prefer the infrastructure advisory.
Okay, Alex?
Raleigh's just fine.
Are we good with those changes where Alex takes over Jesse's spot on Rally and Events, and Mark takes over Jim's spot on infrastructure? This is with approval of the council, so I mean, you're providing it, but I would hope that we can ratify it by a motion.
I would motion to approve Alex taking my spot on Rally and Events and Mark taking Jim's spot on infrastructure.
I would second.
Any further discussion? Anything from the public? We'll call the question. Those in favor of that motion indicate by stating yes.
Yes.
Those opposed, no. That carried unanimously.
Just a note, we will be doing this process again in 2 months, 3 months.
Yes. So somewhat temporary, but we do have some work to do. Obviously, Rally and Events is going to be working on a bunch of rally stuff in the very short term. We got some information that we need to cover in infrastructure, some with some insurance claim information on the community center roof, and a couple other infrastructure related things that that group needs to work through for us. Item 7.3 is consideration for 2 letters to our legislature. One, opposing Resolution 1060, which is a resolution to create a task force that looks at economic development and residential development from a state level, but only in the Black Hills. It seems like it's a good idea on some levels, but it's certainly problematic when non-elected, or at least non-elected by the people in the area that are being governed by it, are going to have potential consequences by their actions. The second piece is a further resolution to support SCR 605, which is involving resilient forests. We all know how important our forest properties are to us. We have some issues that are happening. Dead Man Mountain, I mean, I'm sure many of our residents have noticed how much more white it's looked this winter because of all the logging that's gone up there, which is a good move, but it was all done under emergency fire prevention actions. And with that, as we approach forest plan revision, we have a very large area from essentially the National Cemetery down to almost Piedmont, the old rest area anyway, that is part of a roadless area that is being discussed as being included in an area that isn't treated for fire mitigation anymore. And so I hope that the council would approve sending these 2 letters. One to oppose Resolution 6010, one to support SCR 605.
I'd make that motion.
I'll second it.
All right, a first by Jim, a second by Mark to approve sending these letters forward. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, I'll call the question. Those in favor of the motion indicate by stating yes.
Yes.
Those opposed say no. All right, thank you. Item 8 is our consent agenda. I would like to point out, just for the record, that 8.4 is setting a public hearing for a special event license, but it also includes a special meeting next Friday at 8 a.m., 10-minute meeting. And the reason being is this notable public group, there was some confusion on dates, and we would not be able to accommodate that in our normal meeting schedule. So is there anyone that wants to remove anything from the consent agenda and have it considered separately?
No.
Anybody from the public that wants to remove an item from the consent agenda and have it considered separately? Somebody on council willing to make a motion to approve the consent agenda?
I'll motion.
I'll second.
First by Alex, second by Mark, to approve the consent agenda in its full form. Those in favor indicate by stating yes.
Yes.
Those opposed, no. Item 9 is the claims. Has everybody had a chance to review the claims? Any questions or concerns about the claims?
Yeah, 1 second. I did have one that I saw. There it is. It was the first. Oh, sorry. I was just too low. It was page 41 of the packet, if I remember right. Oh, yeah, the first line of Johnson Western Wholesale, balance for error in office for $6,600. I was just wondering what that was.
Balance for error in office, is that?
Councilor Jones asked a question about Western Wholesale, Johnson Western Wholesale, for a description, balance to err in office, $6,631.53. Under liquor.
Well, we don't have an answer, but we'll get you one.
Yeah, well, it was just worded weird to me.
Yeah, it is worded weird. I do have one I want to draw your attention to on page 7. If you go to the United States Treasury for $22,803.50. You see that? This was back in 2021. The city received some COVID funds to help out with healthcare providers, and there was some reporting requirements. The reports did go forward. However, what was reported from our ambulance and what was reported from the city did not match, which created a problem. And somewhere in like 2023, they were asking for some additional information. The city never provided any additional information. And late last year, we received a bill from the Health Resources and Services Administration, the Department of Health and Human Services, Health Resources and Service Administration, for just under $17,000. And this was late 2024. That expense was not paid. It was turned over to their collection agency, the CRS, and now that cost of that was $22,803.50. So we went and paid that, so we wouldn't incur any additional fees. There were some other unintended consequences if it wasn't paid. It's possible, but not likely. We could get some of that money back if we were able to get the paperwork and provide accurate reports. And we'll look at that, but I'm not real confident that we're going to be able to achieve that. in terms of trying to find that information. However, talking with Mayor Forrester, if we weren't to pay that $22,803.50, that would have continued just to got more and more, and there were some more consequences. So again, I just want to make sure everybody was aware of that.
Thank you, Aaron. Yeah, tied back to our COVID monies that we were provided, and it looks like some of the reporting requirements from 2023 were not addressed. Anybody have any further questions on the claims for tonight? Anybody from the public have questions on the claims? No questions? Is someone willing to make a motion on the claims?
I'd make the motion.
I'll second.
We got a first by Nick, a second by Mark. Those in favor of approving the claims as presented with the notables, information coming on Johnson Western Wholesale, indicate by stating yes.
Yes.
Those opposed, no. That motion carried unanimously. Item 10.1, reports. Consideration to approve write-offs for 2024 uncollectible water, sewer, and garbage accounts. And you're gonna...
What these are is our annual, there are write-offs that we have to do annually. They're for accounts that are not collectible. So, and most of those are gonna be water, sewer, and garbage. And we did have a few of accounts receivable also. MUB, I had a typo here, but they approved the MUB, the water, sewer, wastewater. They had those, and sanitation. They approved those at their, not December 19th meeting, at the February meeting. We have the following amounts. Water was $747. Water availability, $997. Sewer, $1,452. Sewer availability, $2,638. Garbage, $1,521. Our surcharge 2 was $149. Lozelle Street surcharge, $160. The wastewater surcharge, $86. And the SRF 23 was $227, and SRF 24, $324. We had miscellaneous water, reconnect fees, and late fees. And our accounts receivable was $4,112, with a total of $14,378 to write off for 24. It is considerably more this year, and most of that is due to, we have some accounts that are in estates, and they'll shut that water off, but then they have to pay that availability fee, and those availability fees just keep continuing building. So those we have looked at, and we heard there's one of them that we did write off, that we got written off. So that is why it's higher this year.
And again, those all go to collections, and they'll
Yes.
continue to...
They'll go to collections once they're written off, and they'll continue to try to collect that money for us.
Okay, anything more, Ann?
That's it.
Any questions from council? Question from the public.
Would you explain a little more about that availability fee and what that constitutes? And I guess I'm a little confused when you say if it's in an estate and they've shut the water off, that availability fee continues even though?
Yes, if that house is sitting there, without, you've got to have the water on. It's kind of like if you would go down south, if you'd go south for the winter, you'd probably turn your water off, but you've got that availability fee, so that when you come home, that the water is available, that,
Right.
okay. So you've got to pay like a minimum.
And that I understand when it's going to be on, off, because it's continued residence, just not active at that time. But on an estate like that, when it's off, I mean, nobody's coming back.
Right, but see, they aren't, but it's not been sold. I mean, it hasn't come out of that name. Rick, if you can, I don't know if you can help me a little more with
Bonnie, I
that.
think it's similar to, say, like your power bill. If you have a meter on your house, whether you're using power or not, you're going to be charged a fee just to have that power available to you to use.
And also, a lot of times, I mean, when it comes to an estate, it's generally because somebody in the family is deceased, and we don't know, the estate could wrap everything up in 30 days, or it could take 3 years, or it could take a long time, and it could sit there dormant for quite a while. The other thing, one of the things that we did do internally is we've decided that each year those are going to be written off, is what we're doing right now at the first of the year. So those would, at that time, we can either turn them to collections if it's for non-payment, or if it is an estate, then we can file the lien against the taxes, so that when the house does sell, it comes out of the proceeds. It doesn't come, I mean, where we ran into this year, we had a couple that were very, very large, and it wasn't fair for the property owner who came in and bought that house, and all of a sudden they had a $6,000 bill. So we're trying to alleviate that and not have that in the future. The most we'll ever have at any given time now is 1 year's worth, and we'll deal with it at the time, whether it goes to the collections or it goes on as a lien. And it gives us a lot more flexibility to try and work with the people. But we have to have the availability fee is what we use, because water is an enterprise fund, so it pays for itself. That we don't use tax dollars to pay for water improvements. So we have to have that money to be able to make repairs to our existing infrastructure, to replace fire hydrants, lines, things of that nature, to just operate the water. And if we have a high population that is gone or is vacant, they still have to pay an availability fee because we're running the water system. I mean, that's why we have it.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but so your water bill pays to produce the water or get the water out of the ground, and for the water itself. The availability fee is the infrastructure to get it to you.
Correct.
So there's no way to shut a structure down,
And not have availability?
not have,
No. I mean, every account it's either active and it doesn't pay the availability fee, or it goes inactive and it has just the availability fee.
Severing at the main would eliminate the availability fee, so correct?
Correct, if there was not a connection made.
and I mean, I'm aware that happens because I have neighbors who are snowbirds and stuff, but I think that's something that the general public doesn't necessarily understand, and in fact, my snowbird neighbor didn't understand it either.
Sure. Have them give us a call.
Well, he died since then, so, but I mean, I educated him before he died. Perfect. But just for the general public out there, I think people don't necessarily understand what's going on. Thank you.
Okay, is there anything else? Forgive me, we didn't have a motion on that. Yeah. I entertain a motion for approving these write-offs for 2024, the uncollectible water, sewer, and garbage accounts.
I'll move.
First by Mark,
I'll second.
second by Nick. Any further discussion?
Mr. Mayor, may I just for my sake, but I think everyone, it isn't that we necessarily have lost $14,000. That could come back if the estates are settled and they pay that collection come back into the general fund.
As they collect monies, we should see some come back into our general fund. The collection companies take a cut off of that, though, so we will see. Yeah, you're right. Not general fund. Those are enterprise funds. Thanks for the correction there, Rick. Some dollars still could flow back to the city yet. Any further discussion before we call the question? Those in favor of the motion to approve the 2024 uncollectible water, sewer, and garbage write-offs indicate by stating yes.
Yes.
Those opposed, no. The motion carried unanimously. 10.2 is consideration to approve the 2025 professional services agreement with Sturgis Economic Development Corporation.
Mayor, quick before we start, I don't know that it's a true conflict, but to be safe, I do sit on that board for another month, SCDC. And with that, to be safe, I'm going to abstain from this item.
Thank you, Jesse.
Well, gentlemen, I'll give you the report on this. Again, this is our annual professional service agreement with Sturgis Economic Development Corps, SEDC. Essentially, most of this is pretty standard. I just want to draw your attention to the changes. And you remember when you're going through the budget process, you were saying you're going to do more for less? Well, SEDC is doing that in reality. They are doing more, and they're doing it for a little bit less. The first one is F, Foxtrot, is basically supporting us with our comprehensive plan. And then Golf, G, is working with and collaborating with us on developing a TIF application and process. And then H is assisting when we hire a city planner to help streamline and expedite the planning and permitting process to ensure projects maintain momentum through our city's process. So those were the three additional to the standard contract we've had with SEDC. I see Amanda's out in the audience. So if you do have questions, Amanda would also be a great resource on making sure you have the information that you need.
I guess I'd have a question for Amanda, if you.
Hello.
Thank you. Only question is has the SEDC board approved this contract?
No, I did show them a draft at their February meeting. And was it item H, Aaron? I think the way we had it worded, there was just some concern about it. So I think we all worked through rewording that. I did share it with a couple of the board members and they were okay with it. So I think when I present it at the March meeting, it should probably be okay. The way in the draft that is being presented tonight. I don't see any issues.
Just H wasn't real clear on who was in the lead, or maybe you may even construe that you were in the lead as SEDC when it came down to the development process. So Amanda and I worked through the language to make sure it was clear that no, the city is in the lead on its, because it's their developing checklist, but SEDC would work with us and help streamline that system to try to make it as efficient as possible. So a key supporting effort on that particular task.
Yep.
Anybody have any questions or input? Anybody from the public interested in the SEDC contract?
No, I like the extra help on there.
Yeah, absolutely. We're here to help. So however we can make that happen.
Look forward to getting some of the work done leading into our comprehensive plan update. That's a big lift for us.
Yes.
And Amanda, you have, the annual meeting is the 25th of March.
Correct.
All right, hearing no further discussion, is somebody willing to motion to approve the SEDC contract?
I'll motion to approve.
I'll second.
And a first by Alex, a second by Mark to approve the SEDC contract for 2025. Any further discussion? Hearing none, those in favor of approval of the motion to approve the contract indicate by stating yes.
Yes.
Those opposed, no. That motion carried unanimously. Item 11 is executive session. We do have a need for executive session tonight.
Mayor, sorry. Can you go back? I just want to make sure it's noted that I abstained from that
Correct.
vote.
Sorry, Jesse did abstain from that vote. So six yeses. Executive session, we've got a need for executive session for personnel, legal, and contractual issues.
5 yeses.
All right, Ruth's not here either, yet. For those reasons, we want to adjourn to executive session. I think this is probably going to take the better part of an hour. There is no action to be taken after we return. We'll remove ourselves from the chambers so that anybody who wants to remain in the gallery can do so until we return. Somebody willing to motion for executive session?
I'll make the motion to reserve.
I'll second.
First by Jim, second by Mark to adjourn to executive session. Those in favor indicate by stating yes.
Yes.
Those opposed, no.
going down, I think. Even my room does that. If you come in tight or something, or you get traffic.
Stop being so happy.
Bonnie, thanks for sticking around.
We do it just for you. Did you hear the party going on down here?
The dance party?
Yeah, we did have a good time when you guys are gone. We did.
All right, thank you. We are back from executive session. I would entertain a motion to return from executive session, or
Make
exit.
that motion.
I'll second.
First by Jim, second by Mark to exit executive session. All those in favor of that motion indicate by stating yes.
Yes.
We have no action at the end of our agenda here. I'm looking for a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
First by Tony, second by Nick to adjourn. All those in favor indicate by stating yes.